Hello, friends. Adam Shaw here from my studio in Northern California. And today's topic is art as a spiritual practice. If you've ever meditated, you know that the concentration of attention is extremely, I don't want to say difficult because I don't want to be limiting, but it is difficult to focus your attention and not get sidetracked and taken by narratives. And anytime you're off in a narrative in your head, that is at the expense of being present. Presence, we talk about being present a lot. And presence is a relative term. There may be an absolute state of presence. If there is, I don't know what it is. But there are certainly relative experiences of presence and varying degrees of being absent and on automatic pilot. You see it in yourself if you know how to observe yourself. And you see it in others all the time if you know how to observe that in others. There's a difference between coming from a place of centered presence, and there's a difference between just being automatic and really being absent from yourself. By and large, our culture is based upon absence. Most things exist in order to try and keep us from being present. And even when we understand that, and even if we have some experience of presence, we realize that once we begin speaking, even from the most sincere place, it requires a lot of coming back to oneself from the content of one's narrative. And this is true also for a narrative in your own head, and even more so when you're speaking out loud. It requires a lot of practice and renewed effort moment by moment to stay present. If you meditate, you notice this, how hard it is to just watch your breath and not get taken by some narrative or drama, some story. This scratches, this itches, this business has to be taken care of, this animal's need of attention, this thought is in need of attention, whatever it is. It's a very interesting, very interesting thing to observe how fragile one's relationship is to one's own attention. I sometimes think of it as like walking on a tightrope, trying to balance a full bowl of water on your head and not spilling a drop. It's not easy. So if it's hard in the context of a seated meditation to remain present and to keep your attention focused, and it's hard in the context of a conversation, even a conversation about being present, it's especially hard when you're engaged in the activities of daily life. Now, there are certain activities which demand attention, like let's say open heart surgery. You expect if you're undergoing, or someone you love is undergoing open heart surgery, that the surgeon and the team are really focused. The same is true of like world-class athletes. You can see it when you watch, and this is one of the things that makes watching world-class athletes beautiful, aside from you're rooting for this team because you have an allegiance to them and so on and so forth. To see someone exhibiting and practicing attention in such a focused way it's a beautiful thing. You see it in great dancers, and you see it in incredible musicians, and you see it in great athletes, as I say. And I want to talk about that kind of attention as it applies to art. Now, this is primarily for artists as practitioners of art and the attention that art, I won't say requires because it doesn't require it, but that art and the making of art invites. But it's also true for the viewer, because if you've ever been deeply moved, and I don't mean merely emotionally moved or intellectually stimulated, but I mean like touched to the quick by an awesome painting, work of art, your attention is called forth in a really deep way. And for practitioners of painting, the art of painting, the act of painting, the practice of painting invites an incredible focus that is often missing from other activities in your daily life. Of course, the invitation to be present, to muster your attention at the deepest level, and to be laser focused is always on offer. I mean, everything is constantly offering us an experience of deeper presence. At the same time that we're constantly being called away from our presence. This is like the push and pull of being a human being. But when you're a painter, let's say, and you're working in the studio, and I think most painters will testify to this, you can go in there at 10 o'clock in the morning, next thing you know, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you completely lost time. I'm not saying that you went into a space of intense inner quiet, because the wheels may still be turning in your mind on and off based upon thoughts that are passing through your head. But you don't get taken by them, because your focus is primarily on the activity of making art. And it happens outside of time. So like I say, you go in there at 10 o'clock in the morning and you realize at 4 o'clock, oh my God, I have had to go to the bathroom for like 2 hours and I kind of forgot. And I haven't eaten anything and I'm like really hungry, but I kind of forgot because my attention was so absorbed in the act of making this art. And that kind of attention translates for the viewer, or has the potential to translate for the viewer into an invitation to be present in a related way, not in the making of the art, but in the experience and engagement with the art. I don't think you can have that when you look at like a duct tape banana or a can of Campbell's soup or a stack of Brillo boxes. You can have different kinds of experience, but not the kind of experience that I'm pointing to. Or I should say, you can bring that to anything. So you can actually bring it to looking at a duct tape banana. But the duct tape banana is not offering you that any more than a pile of dirt by the side of the road or a rock or anything. A cat meowing is offering you that. Reality is always offering you the ability to be present. But art, with the intention of that presence, the invitation to presence, can be an aid in your being present and therefore your spiritual development. That's all I'm going to say about this now, just to sort of invite you to consider what your relative level of presence might be at any given time, and how art may be a support and an invitation for a greater and deeper sense of presence. So I hope you find this interesting, and I encourage you to subscribe and to like and to share and comment so that the channel can grow. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.